I think we're ready to finish off this series with personal challenges. Then perhaps I'll create a continuing video with your questions and answers to put into this series. So in this segment, we're going to discuss personal challenges that you may have during your time living and working in Japan. Of course, it's going to be different for every person. You could have totally different experiences or perceptions or observations, so I welcome you to share those in the comments. Possibly help somebody that is contemplating coming to work or live in Japan, and even possibly connecting with somebody that might be going through a similar struggle that could help you in the area that you're most concerned or interested in. So if you are new here or new to this playlist, my name is Kim. I am a recently retired elementary school teacher. I'm originally from Los Angeles. I worked as an elementary school teacher in Los Angeles for 8 years before coming on the JET program in Japan. I first started out as a JET and continued working in my area. After Tottori, I went to Osaka. After Osaka, I moved to Shizuoka. After Shizuoka, I went to Gunma. After Gunma, I moved to Yokohama, which is where I am now. I've been working and living in Japan for the past 37 years. I came here in 1988. So I've been through a lot, and I've also been with people who have been here. I've worked with people, some of them that have stayed the same amount of time that I have, as well as people that have come, maybe did their contract and went back to their home country. And I've even been with people that have come to work in Japan very excitedly and happily, but ended their contract early to return home for one reason or another. So I do have a lot of experience and firsthand knowledge, I guess, about some of the subjects that we'll talk about. Of course, a lot of your experiences and how you handle things, how you interpret things is going to be based upon your own personal background, your family background, the things you've been exposed to in your life, your personality, how you mesh with certain situations. Have you lived alone before? Have you been in the workforce before? What your age is, even what your ethnicity is. Everything is going to factor in. When I have prepared this series, I usually write out a series of notes, and sometimes I have so many different topics and subtopics. When I planned this one, I narrowed it down to just 3 things. Of course, there are probably more, but the 3 things that I narrowed it down to, I thought these 3 areas are not only just exclusive to living and working in Japan, it's living and working anywhere in your home country, in another country that you might be interested in living in. Maybe they're just 3 things that we all have to deal with in life. For those of you that are younger than me, which is probably everybody here, your decisions are probably going to be way harder than maybe for someone that's my age. Once you're over 60, I feel that you have different areas to conquer and think about. So this is a very general one that you can apply in whatever works best for your particular situation. The first one I think is pretty obvious. One of the personal challenges that I think most people have to deal with is loneliness or being alone. There is a difference, right? You can be alone and be happy. But if you're someone that is alone and lonely, I feel that being on the JET program, being in a foreign country, even just living by yourself solo can be a really challenging and difficult experience. This may be your first time living without roommates, without your family. This might be the first time that you're able to decorate and design a space that is what you've always dreamed of, or what you've envisioned your first apartment, house, or condominium to look like. So it can be exciting, especially when you first come to Japan. Many people describe this as the honeymoon phase, where everything is exciting. You're constantly with people or meeting people, doing new things. That first time you look into your apartment and you think and envision what type of interior design you want to do, what type of furniture items you want to buy, what type of vibe you want to create in your own space that is totally yours. You go shopping, you have fun, you start decorating the apartment or your living quarters the way you want it. You're also probably meeting a lot of new people through work, through the JET program, especially if you've been to orientation. Maybe you're meeting your neighbors. Maybe you're meeting people that you've met online from following different accounts. Maybe you're even meeting me. Just kidding. But maybe you're meeting people that you've started corresponding with. And it's great. I'm going to take you back 37 years when I first came to Tottori. And I was one of 5 new ALTs. Was I the only one? I might have been the only one in my particular city. Or no, I take that back. I think there were 2 of us in my particular city. We did not have cell phones. In fact, it cost a lot of money to get a landline phone. So it was a little bit difficult to contact other JET participants. I did have a neighbor and the neighbor's girlfriend that befriended me and helped me around a little bit. But basically, I really felt on my own. For me, it was not a difficult transition because I had lived alone in the US. I pretty much have lived without my family for quite some time. I had roommates in university. Then when I began working, I moved out by myself and loved it. For me, living alone was no problem. However, there have been people that have been living in the same area as me who found it really difficult because you have to really be comfortable with yourself. You have to be comfortable with how you spend your time. If you're someone that always needs to go out or be surrounded by people, then sometimes living alone can be difficult. It's challenging for someone that's quiet like me. I know you guys are saying, you're not quiet, Kim, but I really am, and it really is difficult for me to come out of my shell at times to make new friends. I'm the one at a party that will go in the corner and wait for people to come up and speak to me. I'm not the person that will go up and just, hey, my name's Kim, nice to meet you. I can do that now. As I think most of you that come to Japan, after you've worked and lived here for a while, you're going to be surprised at how much easier it is to make that small talk or to introduce yourself, because you're going to be doing that on the job a lot. But what do you do about those times when maybe you're having difficulty with your fellow teachers or another person on the JET program, or you're just missing having a social life? What can you do? This is essentially what my daily life was like. You may be thinking, oh my gosh, Kim, what a shock, or how pathetic you were back then. I probably was. I would have considered myself, a loser with a capital L, but I think back and I'm really glad I had those experiences. So what I would do is wake up, go to work. After work, I finished about 3-ish. I think back then at the JET program, the timeline was not as strict as it is maybe now. You were able to go after your classes were done, or depending on what school you were at. And my particular contract, I was based at a high school, but on Thursdays and Fridays, I visited different junior high schools and high schools, not only in Tottori City, but all throughout the area. So sometimes I went very, very far as an hour bus ride away, and other times it would just be in the same neighborhood. After I was done, it was too early to go home, but I had no friends, I had no one to call. So what I did was I would go to a coffee shop or a cafe or an eating place or a shopping center, and I'd have a snack. For the first month, I didn't have a bicycle. For the first month, I walked around everywhere, including to and from the station, which took about maybe 15 minutes or so. Once again, I didn't want to go home so early, so after I finished my snack and walked around, I would go someplace next for dinner. I usually ate dinner about 5 o'clock or 5:30, pretty early. After dinner, what comes next? Dessert. So I would go to another coffee shop or place to go have dessert. That's 3 different places. 3 different places I went before walking home. Then once I got home, I didn't understand the TV, but I thought if I put it on the news, I thought that maybe magically I would learn the language a little bit more. I at least could look at what the weather was going to be like, get a little feel of what was going on the news. Then, I don't remember what I did at that time. I might have written letters, because back then, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have computers. Our correspondence was totally by writing letters. This pattern happened every day. Maybe on the weekends, I would venture out a little bit. I also loved exploring Tottori. There was so much nature and places to go to, the beach, the sand dunes. I eventually was able to meet up with the other jet participants, slowly started getting a few friends, but as far as friends that you could really bond with and express things with, that took time. I don't think now, in this day and age, it's as difficult to feel as lonely as we did without any social media, without any real form of mobile communication. That's why I feel like that whole experience really toughened me, so that with the addition of technology and being able to communicate so much easier nowadays, it made me realize how, I don't know, I guess how persistent and how strong I was to be able to manage all that. Don't get me wrong, there were days when I cried and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like a nobody here. I missed my university life where I actually had circles of friends. I missed what I had in high school even. Just having people to always connect with, having people I could just call and say, hey, let's go hang out, or let's go to dinner. But because I was used to being alone and living alone in the US, and I did enjoy doing things by myself, it wasn't that hard of a transition. I would recommend, nowadays it's so easy to join clubs or groups, to find people that are interested in the same hobbies as you are and connect. For me, it was going to the community center and I took an aerobics class. The teacher happened to speak English really well. She also had a dance studio and I started going to her dance studio. The more things you start doing, even if it's out of your comfort zone, whether it be taking a Japanese class, asking someone to give you lessons in something you're interested in, taking cooking lessons, just anything where you're surrounded by people, you are going to make friends. It is a bit challenging when you don't speak the language, but you knew that coming here, right, to Japan. You knew that you were going to have to come out of your comfort zone, learn a little bit of Japanese, put yourself out there to make friends. The loneliness, it still happens. You'll still feel lonely when maybe you want to talk to your best friend, or maybe you're missing your family. But now we have it so much easier with FaceTime, Zoom, email. Think about what it was like back when I came, when we didn't have that. And I made it okay, and a lot of my friends did too. Maybe that's why the people that you meet at your workplace or through JET, maybe that's why you do bond and you make special connections, because you're going through the same thing at the same time. There are lots of outlets or lots of places also to reach out to. If you are someone that is really struggling, don't hesitate to call your prefectural representative, or call one of the hotlines, or seek a place where you can go to get help, because there are many people that can help you. You just have to be willing to reach out. If you need to spend your money on a phone call back home, or if you even need to take a trip back home, or if you even need to call it quits and say, you know what, this is not for me. People will say, oh, you're so lucky you work in Japan. Oh, you're so lucky you have this. You have a job, you have this. Why are you complaining? Don't let that influence what you feel you have to do, what you need to do to keep your mental health together, or what you need to do to get out of your rut. If you need to talk to someone and you're met with even more frustration, which is quite possible, because people may look at you like, you've got this great job, you're making a living in Japan, you got on the JET program, and you're complaining, you want to go home? Seriously, follow your own heart and don't listen to what other people say, because they don't know what you're going through. I will give you one example. One of our exchange students at the school that I worked at for 9 years, she had the best time in Japan. She had a great homestay family. She was a great addition to our school. All the students loved her. We loved her. She made the most of her experience as an exchange student at our school. After that, she applied for the JET program. I wrote her a glowing letter of recommendation because I thought she would be an excellent candidate for the JET program. And of course, she did get in. She requested the same area, and she did get placed in Tottori, but not the city area. I think when people made the placement, they thought that because she had such a good experience in Tottori that she could do anything. She had lived in Japan before. She had a great attitude, but they put her on an island where she pretty much was all alone. And if you're on an island, or if you're in one of the very rural communities, you may love it, but you may also have to catch an early train in order to get back. Otherwise, you might not make it back to your... Let me start over. But in order to make it back to your home, you may have to take a very early train in order to get back in time. And that's hard. So she was having a really rough time, decided that she needed to return back to her home country. I applaud her for being strong enough to do that, because who would have expected? But that's what I mean. You never know what your experience is going to be like, because as they tell you during orientation, every experience is different. Just because you are in a situation that everybody thinks is an ideal situation, or you have the perfect personality that fits in this program, it may not be right for you. And don't be afraid to admit that. Don't be afraid to stick to your guns and do what is best for you. Another sort of thing that kind of goes along with loneliness is the fear of missing out, or good old FOMO. Not so much missing out on things here in Japan, but all of you that come here and choose to live and work abroad, you're leaving people behind that might be going through things that you would have loved to have been a part of, but because you're abroad, you can't join in. Your best friend's wedding, your brother or sister's birth of a child, baby showers, bridal showers, graduations, reunions. Whoops, sorry, that was Bandit. Reunions. Some of your friends might be disappointed that you won't be able to come out for their wedding, or that you aren't going to be there to, celebrate a baby shower. I don't think it's that big a problem, or it wasn't a big problem for me, but it could be for you. So just know that if you choose to live and work abroad, you are going to miss things from back home. If it's something that's going to be difficult for you, then you may want to rethink, or at least look at your schedule, make your plans, figure everything out so that you don't miss those things that are really important to you. The next thing I think that could be a big worry that nobody really tells you about, but I think it's a big worry no matter where you are or what you're doing, is, of course, money, financial stuff. I think when you're in a foreign country, it's just harder because you don't have your family there that you can just say, help, can I borrow this or can I borrow that? Wiring money is a lot easier nowadays. It's a lot easier to make transfers or wire money if you're in a situation. When you're working abroad, you want to save money for emergency situations, which includes emergency travel. For example, if you have an emergency back home, you might need to get on a flight right away. You might have to undergo surgery like my mom did. I think for daily living situations, it's hard, especially when you first come here, because you've got to budget everything. For most of you, when you come to work in Japan and you get your bank account situation set up, it's really easy to have your utilities, your bills taken out automatically of your account. So you just don't see that money. However, you're still dealing with a different currency situation. Sometimes it's really easy to not think about things, especially when you're here and you're traveling or you're buying things that you like, or you see these cute items and you want to decorate, or you decide to go off on a weekend vacation with some of your new buddies. Your money just, and all of a sudden you think, oh my gosh, do I have enough to cover my rent for this, or do I have enough to pay for this? And as we all know, any situation with money can be a little bit stressful. You might not have anticipated some of the finances that might be taken out of your bill. Like, for example, what's an example? Your residence taxes, or different taxes, or if you drive a vehicle, the vehicle tax that comes out every year in May, or let's see, your health payments. Just so many things that you have to get ready for and prepare. It's really hard to think sometimes. You get your paycheck thinking that you're getting this amount of money, and when your paycheck comes, oh my gosh, it's like this amount of money. When you get your phone bill, or you get a bill of, I don't know, your internet bill, or something you didn't expect, all of a sudden you're just, oh gosh, what do I do? Believe me, as someone who has been in those situations where you're thinking, how on earth am I going to get by? Am I going to make it till the end of the month? Money, especially living in a foreign country, sometimes it's just hard to convert and get your finances in order. It may take a while. So my advice to everybody is, especially during your first couple of months here, really pay attention to your finances. Japan's stationery stores and bookstores have these budget books. I can't really understand them, but you can go ahead and make your own budget book, keeping track of what you spend, keeping track of things that are taken out and how much, so you can kind of get used to everything. Now that they have ATMs, because yes, back when I first came, we didn't have ATMs here that were as readily available as they are now, but you can use your bank book and really keep track of things. You can just go to the ATM and have it update your passbook. I would say do this for at least the first couple of months so you can know where your money is going, how much you're spending. You will need money set aside if you're planning to travel. For those of you who it's your first time getting a paycheck, I would say nobody tells you how to organize and budget your money. Finances, no matter what age you are, is challenging. So just be wise, wiser than your girl here. Learn to know maybe what you want to do with your money, and especially because you're dealing with foreign currency, sometimes it's easy to forget how much you're spending, or yeah, you just have to, I think, be a lot more wiser than I was. And I know you will be, because I was pretty bad. So if I can manage through the hurdles and challenges that I had, I really believe you can too. All right, let's talk about the third and final area. This is something, like I said, just like the other two, no matter where you are in the world or what point in your life you are, something that no one is ever going to tell you about living and working in Japan, or is what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to look at my notes right now because I wrote some questions that you may have at this point in your life now, or that you may be having if you're struggling and working in a foreign country, and you may be thinking, why didn't anybody tell me this? Well, the truth is, we can't tell you this. Nobody can tell you the answer to these questions. For example, number one, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do when my JET program year is over? What am I going to do if I don't have a job in Japan next year? What am I going to do next? Number two, how am I going to get my visa renewed? What type of visa am I going to get if I still want to stay in Japan, but my instructor visa is over? How am I going to get a permanent resident visa, but I haven't met all the criteria yet? I don't mean to read it so dramatically, but I feel like I'm talking to my students. Who am I? Where is my life going? Where is my life headed? What am I doing here in Japan? Where do I fit in? Where do I fit in? Doesn't this sound like some sort of musical theater drama? But okay, we've all had these questions. We've all had these questions. And I guess nobody tells you the answer or tells you how to deal with, because nobody has the right answers. These are things you'll find out for yourself. And if you don't know the answers, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I spent a long time talking with my colleague. And if you're watching this, my dear, you'll know who I'm talking to. We were talking about jobs if you're going back to your home country, or if you're here in Japan, or if you're wanting to come back to Japan. And taking the steps to get to whatever it is, your goal. But if that's not your ultimate dream job, or if that's not where you want to be, why are you going down this path when you really want to go down this path? Why are you, I think I used the words, why are you wasting your time going this way when your ultimate goal is here? And her answer to me was she wanted to go down this path because getting that goal was her safety net. I started to question myself because I have navigated my path, obviously, without a safety net. I never had what I considered a safety net. I saw my goal or what I wanted and boom, nosedived in. It was a risk. If I failed, and I dealt with those failures as it happened. I do always have a plan A, B, C, D, or whatever, plan A to plan Z. I had a lot of plans, but I didn't consider them safety nets. I considered them a different course of action. But you could have your dream goal and a bunch of unexpected things could happen that you're going to have to navigate through. Not everything in your life is going to fall into place. In your head, you may see yourself, oh, I want to work and live in Japan. Oh, I want to do this. But you might not be able to because you might not be able to get that visa. Or you might not be able to marry that person to get a spousal visa. Or you might not even have the determination or the will to put up with all the steps that you need to stay here. There may be things that are preventing you, and you might not be able to attain that ultimate goal in the way that you thought you could. It might take, instead of going like this, you might have to take a path like, which was me. I thought, boom, here I am at this school. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to get my place. I'm going to live here happily ever after with Sinbad, my dog at the time. And that didn't happen because all of a sudden I was without a contract and without a job. I had to whoa, what do I do? What do I do? Okay, boom. And went that way. Everything was great, I thought. And then, oh my God, I can't live here as long as I thought I could. So what do? Boom, next path. Have to retire at 65. Boom. Just so many things. But my advice to those of you that are struggling and that are wondering why nobody told you this or why nobody told you what it was like to work and live in Japan and have this struggle or this situation, I'm going to tell you that, yeah, it sucks when you're going through it. It tests your patience. it sometimes tests your mental and physical and emotional strength to overcome some of the hurdles. But if you believe in your abilities, if you are willing to maybe come out of your comfort zone and make the efforts, you are strong enough to tackle these challenges. And it might not be an easy path. You might have to go like a super roundabout way. You might have to sacrifice some of the things that you thought would be the easier way to accomplish those goals. You might even have to take a big piece of humble pie and swallow your pride. It's something I had to do because I thought my life was all set, and it wasn't. And it hurt like anything. It hurt being betrayed by people I thought were my friends. It hurt having to figure out where my paycheck was going to come from. But I think it made me a stronger person. And I think it helped me realize that, okay, you know what? I can do this. I did this. I can help others get through this. I'm alive. I'm healthy, knock on wood. And I feel really, 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 really good about what I've accomplished, who I've met through my journey, that I can be here and share all this with you without even crying, because I think I shed enough tears at that time. I feel really, really good about the person I became. Not everyone has to like the person I became or the person I was, and that's okay, because I made it through. I'm still here. I'm still taking each day as it comes, and I still don't know the answers to this. I do know a little bit better who I am. I don't really know what I'm going to do next, but I don't think anybody does. You might think you do, but you have no idea what tomorrow will bring, because things can change so quickly, so I don't really worry about that anymore. Where is my life going? My life is going whatever happens and whichever direction I take tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do in the next 5 minutes. Well, I'll probably be talking to you, but yeah, where do I fit in? I don't know. I fit in my world. I have people saying, like, you know, come back to America. I have people that say, why are you staying in Japan? I'm always going to be in limbo, because in the U.S., even though I grew up in the U.S. and I am an American citizen, people may look at me and not see me as a true American. Not only people in the U.S., but also people in Japan. They don't see me as a true American. I have been rejected from work places because I don't fit what they believe is a true American. And I'm not good to advertise business, because my face on a poster would confuse Japanese people that want to learn English from a native speaker. Oh, I'm getting my digs in here, aren't I? I am not true Japanese, because since I wasn't born here, I was born in El Paso, Texas, where people are like, what were you doing in Texas? But yeah, they know by the way I talk, by the way I think, my actions are not maybe the same as a native Japanese would be. I am functionally illiterate. If you gave me certain pieces of paper, I can't read it. And back in the U.S., people would think, oh my God, that person can't read English. like illiterate. Well, I'm sorry, but I am illiterate here too. I can read some things, but I can't read everything. I can't read a newspaper. I can listen to the news and sort of understand it, but there are so many formal Japanese words that I don't know. So where do I fit in? I'm sort of in my own world. So that answers that question. Your answer will be different. Your answer to all those questions are going to be different. But you know what? That's okay. And I think that's what makes everybody, all of us, special. So this is the last segment that I'm going to do for this playlist. And who knows, maybe along the way I'll do more. Maybe we'll do a question and answer segment in the future if that's something that people would want. But I think I'd like to end this on a positive note, because we've been covering topics that nobody really talks with people about, and hopefully that person that was having those struggles, wishing that somebody would talk about these things that no one tells you before coming to live and work in Japan, I hope I answered some of those questions, and I hope maybe I put a little bit of clarity for those of you that are either struggling or wondering whether or not this would be the right place for you to live and work. I still say any foreign country that you are interested in working, even if you're a Japanese person wanting to live and work in a foreign country, you'll never know until you try. And there's no harm in trying and saying, ooh, it wasn't for me, and turning around and going back home to your family, or going to another country and trying again. It doesn't matter how many times you do something. Don't see them as failures. See them as learning experiences or trials and errors. And then you get a second chance to do another path or another plan. You might not even ultimately reach that goal, but that's okay, because the journey along the way is far more, I think, satisfying sometimes. Because when is the end of the goal? I kind of feel like it's never ending. Once you get one goal, I'm sure a lot of you just make another. At least that's what I do. You keep on going. You'll have new challenges and new things to combat, and new people that you'll meet along the way, maybe. Thank you so much for joining me on these episodes. If there's an episode you missed, I've put them all together in a playlist, and little by little I'm trying to make sure I timestamp everything so that you can get to the section that most applies to you. If you have further questions or advice for anyone, please feel free to put them in the comments. In addition to talking about life in Japan, I try to post other areas about life in Japan as a teacher, a dog mom, a senior citizen, and just even as a tourist in a way, someone that is a resident tourist, I guess. So if you would like to join my journey here and share things with me along the way, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you as part of this wonderful community. It has been just such a rewarding experience to connect here, and I am truly grateful because I've learned a lot through your comments, your support. Let's continue this journey and continue to support not only each other, but also other people that are here trying to do the same thing. There are a lot of us, and I think it's really special that we now have digital devices that we didn't have back then to help us help others and help us grow. All right. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take good care of yourself and your loved ones, and I will see you again next time. Thank you. Bye.